Harry's wife. I never trusted you. I've explained previously that the late Queen Elizabeth was a normal. This means she was a mixture of both narcissistic and empathic traits. She had considerable emotional empathy, but for a smaller group of individuals. It also meant that she didn't have an addiction to the narcissist. Normals tend to be harder to ensnare. They can be ensnared by a narcissist and they can remain with a narcissist. But more often, they tend to not put up with the behaviours and remove themselves. Sometimes this happens through seduction, when they're being given the all-singing, all-dancing golden period, that the normal turns around and thinks, this is over the top, this is too much, I feel smothered, not for me, and they back out. Sometimes they remain within the golden period, but once devaluation occurs as an intimate partner primary source, or perhaps if they're being treated to the shelving dynamic, they think, I'm not putting up being treated this way. They're not interested in why they're being treated in this manner. They don't have emotional thinking keeping them in the game, and instead they depart. The Queen, as always, had the measure of Harry's wife. She may not necessarily have identified her as being a narcissist, but she will certainly recognise that many of her behaviours were commensurate with other difficult individuals that she's dealt with throughout her reign. Remember, as the position that she held, the Queen will have regularly come into the orbit of many narcissists, not least, of course, those within her family, both immediate and extended, but also amongst all of those world leaders and celebrities that she had occasion to meet and dine with, etc. She will have recognised certain difficult behaviours and will have seen that replicated in the conduct of Harry's wife. And as a consequence of this, she clearly didn't trust her. And Abigail O'Leary reports in the Mirror that the Queen reportedly had a Megxit summit room swept for bugs, in fear details could be leaked to the press, according to a royal author. This would be entirely understandable action on the part of somebody who is dealing with a difficult person, even if they don't know that they're a narcissist, and even more so, where undertaken by a normal. An empathic person might well undertake a sweep, and I have recommended to people in my books Getting Out and No Contact the steps that you can take yourself to protect yourself with regard to being listened in on, spied upon, watched, etc., because these are relatively common activities that a narcissist will engage in. Although not totally common, a narcissist is likely to want to snoop on your phone, may even go so far as to attempt to download spyware onto it, to position hidden cameras in your accommodation, whether you live in it jointly or separately, to place listening devices, tracking devices on your motor vehicle, so that the narcissist knows where you are, allowing them to suddenly pop up and hoover you. Remember, the provision of information allows the assertion of control, and therefore obtaining that by listening in on you, watching you, or tracking you does massively appeal to the narcissist. Not all narcissists go down this route. Sometimes their narcissism decrees that it's not appropriate, but in some instances it happens. And therefore it's a prudent activity where you know that you're dealing with a narcissist to have regard to the possibility that you're being tracked, listened in on, or watched. As I say, it's not a given, but it should be a consideration. And particularly, of course, for someone such as the Queen holding the position that she did, she was particularly wary of Harry's wife with her propensity for a lack of discretion. In a royal family showdown, the Queen chaired a meeting with Charles, William and Harry in January 2020 to discuss details of the Sussexes stepping back as key royals and moving to America. The now famous Sandringham Summit followed Harry's wife and Harry's public announcement to step down as working royals before telling their family. Now, royal author Robert Jobson, here comes another one, writes in a new book, Our King, how the Queen was concerned their conversation could be secretly recorded and leaked to the press, and ordered the Sandringham Library to be swept for bugs. Jobson continues to reveal details of Harry's wife's exclusion from the meeting via video link for fear the connection could be hacked. He wrote, there was a suggestion that Harry's wife could join Charles, William and Harry via video link from Canada. But the Queen ruled that her attendance in any form was not necessary, which would cause wounding, as Harry would represent her. A practical and sensible solution, of course, there from the Queen. It was also felt that a video link wouldn't be secure, as Charles and William wouldn't be able to tell if the meeting was being recorded or if Harry's wife had anyone else listening in as they spoke. Typical behaviour, of course, of a narcissist to have no emotional empathy for those individuals and not recognising boundaries by engaging in behaviour such as having somebody else in the room and listening in, or recording what was going on so that it could be replayed to other people at a later juncture. The Newburgh, serialised by the Mail, also claimed Kate found her public walkabout alongside Harry and Harry's wife was one of the hardest things she'd ever had to do. Due to ill feeling between the senior royal couples, the Princess of Wales is said to have struggled with the time spent together after the Queen's death last September. Hardly a surprise after the way that Harry's wife has behaved towards her. The well-wishers gathered there 2 days after the Queen died, aged 96. Whilst the walkabout might have come across as a symbol of unity following the death of the centrepiece of the monarchy, Mr. Jobson claimed that sources told him that wasn't the case. He said such togetherness was an illusion, and he wrote, Catherine later admitted to a senior royal that such was the ill feeling between the two couples. The joint walkabout was one of the hardest things that she'd ever had to do. The book includes a number of other shocking claims and revelations, including there were fears that if Harry's wife joined the Sandringham summit via video link, it wouldn't have been secure. Alongside that, he reportedly wrote that Charles and William decided they wouldn't be alone with Harry following the Sussexes' bombshell Oprah Winfrey interview, the Daily Mail reported. It comes as relations between the self-exiled royals and the firm remain at an all-time low. Below the line, observations follow that Krista Witch states, so obviously the late Queen was fully aware of the gruesome twosome's modus operandi and had Harry's wife's measure from the outset. Had she allowed a video link, it's a fairly safe bet that they would later have edited the recording and used it in their many interviews. Plus, why would the Duchess of Arrogance think that she should be included in a summit between the Queen and her grandsons? Well, she, of course, would believe that she should be involved in the summit because her narcissism would tell her that she should be involved. She needs to be involved in order to assert control over all of the parties. Her husband, the intimate partner primary source, and the other family members who are non-intimate secondary sources. Her exclusion strikes at her need for control. They were right to exclude her. She wasn't required. Harry could represent her, but that does not go down well with her. And the fact is that there was a good chance that if they allowed her to join in remotely, she would utilise that information by leaking it and misrepresenting it, as she has done so repeatedly. Once again, the Queen demonstrated her savvy nature as a normal and based upon many years of experience of dealing with similar types to Harry's wife that caused her not to trust her. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.